Hey everyone. So today, believe it or not, marks 30 years officially since the cult classic from Walt Disney Animation and their Toon Animation Studios throughout the world came out into theaters. And that, of course, is a Goofy movie. And I remember I remember this getting advertised, in syndication and all that. And I even basically, as I've said before, was reading the Disney Channel magazine because they were still having it out at that time. And it was around, I think, February, March, or something like that, the February, March edition, where they were talking about, some of the shows and movies coming to Disney Channel and stuff, and specials as well. And one of them they had coming out was, a behind the scenes look, a special look at a Goofy movie. And of course, like any fans at that time, I'm thinking, what is this? A Goofy movie, and then it tells you that it's going to focus on Goofy and Max. And for a lot of us, we all knew Max from, of course, Goof Troop. So we're thinking, what is this, right? And then, of course, I saw the special and saw the trailer, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is basically Goof Troop the movie, but they're not calling it that. They're calling it a Goofy movie. And the question always, in my opinion, was why? Why was it called a Goofy movie instead of calling it, a Goof Troop movie, or Goof Troop the movie, or the Goof Troop movie, or whatever? Why not, call it what it's basically based off of? And my theory, and it's my own opinion in this theory, but I'm sure I'm not the only one that kind of thought along these lines. My theory was basically that the reason they didn't call it, Goof Troop the movie, or a Goof Troop movie, or the Goof Troop movie, and all that, was because of what happened with DuckTales the movie a few years prior. You see, basically, DuckTales the movie was, of course, based on the DuckTales series done by Disney Movie Toons Studios, and it was, distributed under that as well, Disney Movie Toons. And it was going to be the first in a line of feature theatrical films based on their Disney Afternoon properties. As far as I've heard and looked up, they had plans for numerous other DuckTales movies, theatrical films to come out later on. And in between then, you would have films like, I think the next one up was going to be Rescue Rangers, which I still believe would have had Dale and Gadget get together, because to me it was obvious in the series that that's what they were heading towards, with, Gadget making a choice romantically. So it was either, so it's going to be, like I said, a couple of DuckTales movies in between, a few other Disney Afternoon related films like Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, Darkwing Duck. I think they were even talking about doing a Bonkers one, and everything, and a Tailspin. I think, yeah, Tailspin was one. I think I mentioned Tailspin. So they had a lot planned. I think they were even thinking about doing Gummy Bears as well. So they had a lot of Disney Afternoon related theatrical projects, in the works, planning stages, pre-production stages, stuff like that. And unfortunately, DuckTales the movie bombed so badly at the box office that they weren't able to make that happen, and the Movie Toon Studio basically became a shell of what it was. I mean, it was still in existence. It was still in existence because a lot of the sequels to a lot of the animated classics would be created under that label. So they were still in existence until, I think, what was it, the early to mid 2000s, and that was it. I think the mid 2000s they, pretty much went belly up, and Disney said, we're not going to do that anymore. And if we're going to do sequels and all that, we're going to do it theatrically, and it's going to be under our name or a different name or something like that. Anyway, though, basically, I think, and again, this is my mere speculation. This is why, Goofy movie wasn't, named what it really was, which was Goof Troop the movie, the Goof Troop movie, or a Goof Troop movie. Mainly because of that reasoning and the fact that they felt that if they just called it a Goofy movie, it would basically attract more attention, because you have one of the main popular characters, as the title of the film, and that would attract any longtime Disney fan to go and want to see what this is about. And basically, like I said, a lot of longtime Disney fans, especially Disney Afternoon fans growing up at that time, pretty much knew that they were watching Goof Troop the movie. I mean, even Doug Walker, Nostalgia Critic, doing his Disney December, is one of his first Disney Decembers that he did, talked about it, and he basically labeled it as Goof Troop the movie. He looked at it because he looked at it in that perspective as well. But however you looked at it and everything, basically it was a movie that when it came out became a massive hit. Now it didn't do so well at the box office, but when it reached VHS, that's basically when it took off. I mean, it was a big hit. Don't get me wrong; it was a decent sized hit to say the least. But it wasn't that mega hit, that I think Disney was going to hope for, to where maybe it could revitalize the interest of doing other Disney Afternoon inspired films in the future. Instead, it was a very mild hit, and basically the only reason it got to that cult classic, that cult status of a cult classic, was because of VHS. But I remember going and seeing it first time with my dad when it came out. I think it was on the weekend it came out. We both enjoyed it, both liked it. And then I went and saw it again for a second time at the Gage 4 theaters. The first time I saw it was at the Westridge 8 theaters in Topeka, Kansas, which was in conjunction, or in junction, if you will, with the Westridge Mall. And then the second time I saw it was at the Gage 4 theaters when my dad went to go see something else. So I got to see it twice, with my dad and then on my own. And I enjoyed it both times. I really just, wanted to see it more and more and more. And when it was announced it was coming out to VHS, me and my dad picked it up. I think he helped me out financially because I think I was doing work study or stuff. I don't know what I was doing at that time. But yeah, I think I was doing work study. I'm not really sure. But we got it basically at the beginning of the new school year. And this here, I'm going to show you, is the actual VHS tape. This is the one me and my dad picked up from Target in 1995. That's right, this is the actual VHS tape, and as you can tell, it's been through a lot, through many moves, if you will. So it's gone through a lot and everything. But yeah, this is the actual VHS tape, if you will. As you can see, this is the actual VHS tape, and on the side, I typed up that little label right there. I typed up that little label, and it says basically a Goofy movie, and in parentheses it says Goof Troop the movie, because that's basically what it was. And like I said, it's seen better times. It's got like a little crack there on the VHS, and you can tell that I haven't rewound it yet because I watched it all the way through the last time I saw it. Excuse me. But yeah, I have the VHS, so I was happy to get that. Happy to get that and watch it as much as I could, because again, it's a very good movie. It's a very fun movie, and I wanted to have it. And then later on, I ended up getting this. This was like several years later. I think I got it on my own. I got some help or something like that, but I got the Goofy movie soundtrack because basically when Radio Disney was around, they were playing some of the songs. They were playing Eye to Eye, Stand Out, and I wanted to get the soundtrack. So eventually I did find a way to get the soundtrack. I have the case somewhere, but I don't know where. And of course that's what's on the inside of the soundtrack, or the booklet I should say. But yeah, that's the soundtrack. And then later on after that, when it was announced it was coming to DVD, of course I had to get the DVD. And there it is. The DVD still has the coupons in there and everything, but it's got the chapter list and all that, so pretty nice and everything right there. And it even includes, I think on here, it even includes a couple of episodes from Goof Troop, I believe. I think it even includes a couple of episodes, bonus episodes from Goof Troop on here, I believe. Let me see. I think it does. Yeah, Call In All Goofs. That was the Call In All Goofs. Those are the special features on there. Call In All Goofs, the Goof Troop episode. So that basically, in my opinion, was Disney's way of saying, hey, we acknowledge this as Goof Troop the movie, because they wouldn't be putting Call In All Goofs on there, a Goof Troop episode, if that wasn't the case. And of course they had the Goofy success story, which was part of the Wonderful World of Disney, a Wonderful World of Color, if you will. So yeah, pretty good. And they have a trivia game and a DVD storybook based around this. So I was happy to get this when it came out and all that. So really happy. And I was just excited and everything. And then this came from Frank Hill. It's Frank. he sent me on Blu-ray the anniversary edition of of a Goofy movie, and I think this was the anniversary edition for, what was it, the 25th anniversary? I think the 25th one. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but I think it might have been the 25th or the 20th anniversary edition of a Goofy movie that he sent me. So yeah, and that's basically what it is. It's just that and everything. So, and there is no bonus features on here, unfortunately. No bonus features. But this did, I think, get a re-release retail-wise later on. But yeah, this was originally part of a Disney Movie Club exclusive, Disney Blu-ray exclusive. But then, like I said, it later on got a retail release as well. But yeah, overall, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie a lot, and I even watch it. I even have it in my viewing list, my list, of films and shows on Disney Plus, so I can watch it at any time. But I've really enjoyed it, and it's hard to believe it's been 30 years since it came out. And the way Disney's acknowledging now as a cult classic and as a phenomenon they didn't think was that it was going to be, is you got a documentary right now called Not Just a Goof that premiered today on the anniversary of said film. But overall, I liked it. I liked the story. I liked the character of Roxanne interacting with Max, and just a really good story overall. But let me know what your thoughts were, guys. What were your thoughts 30 years ago when this film came out? Do you have all the format versions of the film yourself, like me? And do you have the soundtrack physically as well? Let me know. And until then, guys, take care. God bless.